Hello students, welcome to AKS. Let us look into current affairs for the day. Disqualification in Karnataka Legislative Assembly. The Speaker of Karnataka Assembly announced the disqualification of 11 congressstables and 3 JDS legislatures, all of whom abstained from the session during which the former Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy lost the trust vote of Karnataka Assembly. So these disqualifications have been affected based on the paragraph 2(1)(a) of the 10th schedule of the Constitution read with Article 191 Clause 2. What is this anti-defection law? The 10th schedule of the Constitution, which was introduced by the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1985, deals with the anti-defection law. In this amendment, Article 101, 102, 190, 191 were changed. It laid down the process by which the legislatures may be disqualified on the grounds of defection. So the anti-defection law, in short, laid down the process by which the MLAs can be disqualified and what are the grounds of disqualification of the said MLAs has also been laid by the anti-defection law. So let us look into the provisions for disqualification. If a member of a house belonging to a political party voluntarily gives up the membership of his political party, then that MLA is subject to be disqualified by the Speaker of the Assembly. Also, if the member votes or does not vote in the legislature contrary to the directives of his political party. However, if a member has taken prior permission or is condoned by the party within 15 days from such voting or abstention, the said member shall not be disqualified. Also, if an independent candidate joins a political party after the election, he is bound to be disqualified. Also, if a nominated member joins any political party 6 months after he becomes a member of the legislature, then such member is bound to be disqualified. Also, please note that the decision of the chairman or the Speaker of the House to disqualify a member is final according to the anti-defection law. However, according to the Supreme Court in the Quijotto-Holland case, the decision of the Speaker is subject to judicial review. That is, the judiciary can step in and give its opinion regarding the decision of the Speaker to disqualify a member from the House or not. However, there is a certain exception. A person shall not be disqualified if his original political party merges with another party. This exception shall operate only if not less than 2/3 of the members of the party in the House have agreed to the merger of that particular party. That is, at least 2/3 of the MLAs belonging to a particular party, if they decide that they want to merge into another party, then those members are not bound to be disqualified. Next, Register of Naga inhabitants. The Nagaland's Deputy Chief Minister has defended the state government's decision to compile a register of indigenous Naga inhabitants, arguing that it will help to safeguard the state from outsiders. So let us look into a brief background of this news item. In June 2019, the state has decided to compile a register to prevent issuance of indigenous inhabitant certificates to ineligible persons. So this June 29 notification set December 1, 1963, the day Nagaland gained statehood, as the cutoff date. The next news item is Vishakha guidelines should apply to judiciary. The former Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court, Justice A.P. Shah, says that there's a need to discuss how the Vishakha guidelines, which deal with sexual harassment in the workplace, should be made applicable to the judiciary. This comment comes in the context of sexual harassment allegations raised by the Supreme Court employee against the Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Goi. So what are the deficiencies with the present mechanism of the Supreme Court? The nation's top court has been criticized by various women organizations and many lawyers for its handling of the women's complaint. The in-house committee dismissed the women's complaint, citing lack of evidence. The in-house mechanism dealing with the complaints against judges has no statutory or constitutional basis. Instead, what is suggested is a permanent disciplinary committee with a secretariat should be set up at the central level to deal with the complaints against judges, and the government should not be a part of this committee. Also, there have been observations that there was no video or audio recording made during the investigation, and the woman was not given a copy of her statements on the case from previous days. The woman was also not allowed to have a representative present despite being impaired hearing and anxiety. The panel's report was also not made public. So these are the various deficiencies which have been observed in the in-house mechanisms functioning to deal with sexual harassment at workplace of the Supreme Court. So what are the Vishakha guidelines? The Vishakha guidelines are a set of procedural guidelines used in cases of sexual harassment. They were promulgated by the Supreme Court in the year 1997 in the Vishakha versus State of Rajasthan case. The court declared that right to work with human dignity and the safeguards against sexual harassment is implicit within the fundamental rights mentioned under the articles Article 14, Article 15, Article 19(1)(g) and Article 21 of the Constitution. So, these guidelines were superseded in the year 2013 when the Parliament of India passed the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act of 2013. The Sexual Harassment Act requires an employer to set up an internal complaints committee at each office or branch having more than 10 employees of any gender. The government, in turn, required to set up a local complaints committee (LCC) at the district level to investigate complaints regarding sexual harassment from establishments where the internal complaints committee has not been constituted on account of the establishment having less than 10 employees, or if the complaint is against the employer. So the act itself mentioned the various mechanisms through which this sexual harassment of workplace at women can be prevented. So what are the various obligations cast upon the employer by the Sexual Harassment Act? So what are the mandated obligations that the employer should undertake to prevent sexual harassment? The employer of any organization should provide a safe working environment, which is the basic prerequisite. Also, the employer should publicize the penal consequences of indulging in the acts that may constitute sexual harassment, and also an internal complaints committee should be constituted. The employers should also organize workshops and awareness programs for sensitizing the employees. Also, they should monitor the timely submissions of reports by the internal complaints committee. The next issue is development initiatives in Kashmir. The Prime Minister of India, addressing his monthly radio broadcast, Man Ki Baat, said that the forces who wanted to spread hate in Jammu and Kashmir would never succeed, as the power of development is stronger than the might of bullets and bombs. So what are the various development initiatives taken up in Kashmir? Back to Village program is one such initiative in which the government officials visited remote villages in June to understand the stumbling blocks to development and explain government schemes to the people. So this initiative saw enthusiastic participation from the local population. Okay. And also in the year 2018, the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Developmental Council was given more powers and autonomy so as to cater to the local and indigenous development needs of the J&K people. A placement-linked skill development initiative, namely Himayat, to train about 1.2 lakh local youth in vocational courses has also been undertaken by the government. Okay. Also, after the Balakot strikes, the security situation in the valley has also improved. Himalayan states demand separate ministry and green bonus. 10 Himalayan states have submitted demands for a separate ministry to deal with problems that are endemic to them, and also a green bonus in recognition of the contribution that these states have made for the ecological well-being. Himalayan states have also demanded for a compensation due to the disadvantage of large swathes of their territory falling into eco-sensitive zone where all sorts of development activities could not be carried out. The next item is conflicting views at BRICS ministers meet at Rio de Janeiro. What is the theme of the meet held at Rio de Janeiro? The theme is fight against terrorism, cooperation in areas of economy, and people-to-people exchanges emerged as prominent themes in the meet. The rotating presidency in 2019 is held by Brazil. Indian industry must be convinced of RCEP's benefits, says Australia. Ahead of RCEP's ministerial talks in Beijing to be held on August 2nd to 3rd, Australia is pushing India to commit to RCEP deal by the end of this year, because a lot of industry members cutting across various sectors such as engineering, automobiles, chemical, pharmaceutical, etc. have raised serious concerns, including worries over the flooding of Indian market with Chinese goods and also the lack of Indian services to access various RCEP countries, which include the 10-nation ASEAN grouping and 5 FTA partners. Tehran says European fleet in Gulf is provocative. Iran termed the British proposal for a European-led naval mission to escort tankers in Gulf amid soaring tensions over the seizure of ships as provocative. With issues regarding Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action unresolved, Tehran, which is the capital of Iran, threatens to continue to reduce its nuclear commitments if Europeans fail to salvage the 2015 nuclear deal. Protesters clash in Hong Kong. Protests over the past 2 months, spearheaded by the anti-government activists against a proposed bill that would allow people to be extradited from the city, that is Hong Kong, to stand trial in courts in mainland China, have grown violently. So what is this issue about? So under the system called One Country, Two Systems formula instituted as part of China's sovereignty, the Hong Kong city was promised wide-ranging freedoms which are in fact denied to citizens in mainland China. However, of late, China has been trying to stifle these freedoms which have been given to Hong Kong, in tune to which this particular bill is proposed to be passed. Insolvency plea can't be rejected over disputed claims after demand notice, says NCLAT, that is National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. Setting aside the earlier order passed by the National Company Law Tribunal (NCLT), the NCLAT said existence of any disputed claim cannot be a ground to reject an application under Section 9 of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code to initiate insolvency proceedings if it is not raised before the issuance of a demand notice. Okay. Army's first integrated battle groups to be restructured. So what is this integrated battle groups? Let us look into a brief background of this. After the terrorist attack on the parliament, the Indian military undertook a massive mobilization, but the army's formations which were deep inside, took weeks to mobilize, losing the element of surprise to the enemy. So, the army formulated a proactive doctrine known as cold start to launch swift offensive, but its existence was consistently denied in the past. So, what happened is now the army has come up with the idea called the new concept of integrated battle groups, which the army plans to create as part of the overall force transformation. Okay, so what are the integrated battle groups? IBGs are brigade sized, agile, self sufficient combat formations. Each of them is tailor made based on threat, terrain, and task, that is the 3 T's. So, the resources required for this project are implemented based on the threat, terrain, and task. They will be so the IBGs will be able to mobilize within 12 to 48 hours based on the location. So that is about the integrated battle groups program of the Indian Army. Indian Navy commissions LCU L56, the 6th of 8 indigenously built landing craft utility LCU MK 4th class ship LCU L56 will be commissioned into the Indian Navy at Vishakha. LCU L56 is an amphibious ship with its primary role being transportation, deployment, and recovery of main battle tanks, armored vehicles, troops, and equipment from the ship to shore and vice versa. The ship will be deployed for multi-role activities such as beaching operations, search and rescue, disaster relief operations, coastal patrol, surveillance operations along the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Gender disaggregated data on child sexual abuse. The need for a gender disaggregated data was felt following a nationwide survey conducted in the year 2007, which showed that the number of boys who were victims of sexual abuse was slightly more than those of girls. Up to the age of 13 to 14 years, boys and girls are equally vulnerable, and maybe boys are more vulnerable because of the myth that they are not abused. That was the observations from the 2007 study. The government informed the parliament last week that the National Crime Records Bureau (NCRB) will for the first time collect gender disaggregated data on sexual assaults against children. The NCRB stated that the exercise of collecting data for crimes under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences 2012 POCSO Act against girls, boys, and transgender children in 2018, according to the form sent to the states for collection of data. The last annual report and crime statistics was made public in 2017 for the year 2016. WhatsApp assures prompt action in tracing of rogue messages. The Facebook-owned company, which has over 400 million users in India, has so far resisted demands from the Indian government for identifying message originators, stating that doing so will undermine the end-to-end encryption and affect the privacy protection for the users. However, the IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad on Friday said that the government will insist on WhatsApp developing a mechanism to trace origin of messages in cases where the platform is misused by terrorists and rogue elements. He also said that there must be a mechanism where those could be traced to enforce law and order, safety and security of the country. The minister said he also asked the company to appoint a grievance officer for India who is based in the country. Presently, WhatsApp has a grievance officer for India, but he is based not in India but in the United States of America. The company has already set up an India office, which was one of the key demands by the Indian government. The next is Egan Bernal wins the Tour de France. Egan Bernal became the first Colombian to win the Tour de France as he becomes the youngest rider to win the race in 110 years. He rides for the team Ineos. What is Tour de France? Tour de France is the most famous and prestigious multi-day bicycle race of the world, held since the year 1903 in France. ICC panel to discuss the controversial World Cup final. That is, a controversy regarding the boundary countback rule by which England had won the final of World Cup when there was tie. Indian boxers shine in the President's Cup. The Indian boxers finished their campaign at the 23rd President's Cup in Indonesia's Labuan Bajo with 9 medals, where Mary Kom, Jamuna Boro, Monica Simranjit Kaur grabbed gold medals. Max Verstappen wins the German Grand Prix. Red Bull's Max Verstappen won a wet and chaotic German Grand Prix as the championship leader Lewis Hamilton came home in the 9th place. Krishna River Management Board yet to be shifted from Hyderabad. So, even after 5 years of bifurcation of the state of Andhra Pradesh, KRBM has not yet been shifted to Andhra Pradesh. The Telangana government has requested the central government to allow the functioning of KRBM from Hyderabad for some more time because the Krishna Tribunal is in session. However, the central government is yet to respond on the request of the Telangana government. As per the provision 85 clause 2 of the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act 2014, the headquarters of Krishna River Management Board shall be located in Andhra Pradesh, and the headquarters of Godavari River Management Board shall be located in Telangana State's Hyderabad city. After the bifurcation, the two states have been at conflict over the sharing of waters and other issues such as granting of jurisdiction to the KRBM as per the provisions of SRC Act 2014. As per the Andhra Pradesh State Reorganization Act, the total control over Srisailam, Nagarjuna Sagar, which are common to both states, should be given to the KRBM, a statutory body created by the Act of Parliament. However, even after 5 years, Telangana has control over Nagarjuna Sagar and Andhra Pradesh has over Srisailam. AP Genco, that is Andhra Pradesh Power Generation Corporation, is waging a legal battle in the High Court and the National Company Law Tribunal for recovering its dues amounting to about 7,000 crores from the Telangana DISCOMs. Okay. The state government of Andhra Pradesh has issued orders for the implementation of no bag day in all primary classes in Andhra Pradesh. The rule is mandatory for all government as well as private schools. The schools should maintain first and third Saturdays of every month as no bag days. Next, wild elephants stressed in Kaundinya Sanctuary. The death of 3 wild elephants was recorded in a couple of months in Kaundinya Wildlife Sanctuary in Kuppam district and Palamaneer forest ranges of Andhra Pradesh. The stressful conditions are due to fodder and water crisis, gradual loss of habitat, and the forest department has not executed the elephant-proof trenches. Also, the lack of staff at the beat and sector level has become a major problem in monitoring the movement of elephants along the forest fringe villages. It is estimated that as many as 42 wild elephants are residing at the sanctuary. The farmers should desist from traditional crops of sugarcane, paddy and tomatoes, which proved a big lure for wild elephants, and the farmers can replace these crops with other plants like mulberry and chili plantations. Inflow of tigers in Adilabad forests. The big cats from Maharashtra are wandering into the forest of Adilabad district. The major reason for this is abundant prey for the big cats in the forest from neighboring states, and also a much improved monitoring of the tiger movement in the corridors linking Tipeshwar and Kaval Tiger Reserve. Maharashtra facilities are reportedly overcrowded with tiger population, thus making it imperative for the tigers to migrate to Adilabad district's forests. The next news item is agitation against uranium mining in Amrabad Reserve. The left parties have demanded that the government desist from its plans to allow uranium mining in Amrabad Reserve of Nallamalla Forest. The proposed uranium mining would result in displacement of over 70,000 people, predominantly the scheduled tribes living in 42 villages in areas, also impacting the biodiversity. Studies revealed that the impact of uranium mining would be felt about 150-kilometer radius of the mining site, and people of north coastal Andhra Pradesh would also suffer the harmful consequences. Thank you. Have a good day.